it's time. What is good, everyone? Shoops here. I know I'm a bit late to the party, but I finally got some of the Cheryy MX Black clear tops, or just the new versions of the Nixies in, so let's take a look. So just a disclaimer before we start, as many of you guys know, I am a big Cheryy MX enjoyer. A lot of my personal builds are with Cheryy MX Blacks or with Browns, and I do all of my testing with MX Blacks as well. But I'll try and be as non-biased as possible. Also, I won't compare these new Nixies at all to the original Nixies because your boy can't afford any. So these new Nixies I have with me are part of the main production run, so not pre-lubed at all, and they feature the new Cheryy Milky Tops with the standard cherry bottoms and stem. Materials not too sure about because the Cheryy company is a bit cringe about sharing their secret formula. The spring in these are also 63.5 gram springs, but like every other Cheryy switch, they're straight doo-doo garbage, so I would swap them out immediately with some aftermarket springs. I personally use TX springs. Now for this review, I will of course be doing a sound comparison with other switches, but I'll mainly be comparing them directly to the classic MX Blacks. Also, there won't be any stem comparison in this review because there are standard length and standard travel distance. Welcome to another Scuffed stem wobble test. Please keep in mind that there is batch variance, so just take this with a grain of salt. But Cheryy MX Blacks, a little bit wobbly. I personally like filming them. Nixies as well, around the same amount of wobble as the MX Blacks. Gats, pretty wobbly. JWKs, pretty wobbly. Gats, a little wobbly. SP stars are pretty tight, and Nixies are pretty tight as well. I just want to note that sound tests are not very accurate. Everyone's lubing technique, room setup, acoustics, desk mat, and all that is different. Just take it with a grain of salt. So what I say here is of my own opinion and yours might differ. So first off, how smooth are these switches? For cheryy standards, they are pretty damn smooth with that signature scratch still in there. Compared to Hyperglides, I would say that these are actually noticeably smoother with less cherry picking involved. However, I would say that my batch of Nixies did still have some cherry picking needed as per usual, but there really weren't too many super scratchy ones out of the bunch. But it is important to note that it's still fairly early on for the production run of these, so that might change as the years go by. I also want to add that my overall thoughts on these are currently without break-in, but like other cherries, I highly recommend breaking them in. I broke in one Nixie with my breaking machine and I could definitely see a big improvement, but I would recommend hand breaking them in if you are doing so. But all in all, compared to the MX Blacks, these are definitely a improvement on the smoothness scale. Not by a lot, maybe like, I don't know, 15% in my opinion. And before you ask, no, these are still not going to be as smooth as JWKs or SP Stars or any of the new manufacturers, but if you're looking for frictionless performance, you aren't going to be looking at cherries in the first place. So, the sound of cheryy switches, in my opinion, is simply unbeatable. It's my absolute favorite. Whatever mystery nylon POM and other substances that those Germans throw in there really do the trick. But yeah, these Nixies definitely have a unique sound to them, which I actually quite enjoy. You can definitely tell with the sound that these are Milky Tops. Now, I'll be completely honest, this is an unpopular opinion, but personally, I am not the biggest fan of Milky Top switches. I feel like they mute the top out sound a bit too much, and the overall tone is a bit too plasticky. I don't know, it's a bad description, but that's just how I personally feel. Don't get me wrong though, I still believe Gateron Milky Tops are goated for the price, just not for me personally. However, with that said, I actually quite enjoy this sound profile of these Nixies. I think they still have that snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies sound profile that I really like in the cheryy MX Blacks, but with a unique and slightly more blunt and slightly muted topping out sound, which makes them slightly deeper in my opinion. Overall though, they are pretty similar in terms of sound profile, but just different enough to make them stand out. From what I've been hearing in builds, I think these sound quite nice in top mount and plateless boards, so I am excited to try it out. All that said though, we gotta get to the elephant in the room, which is pricing. Goddamn. These are expensive, absurdly expensive. Now compared to other new switches, not as much, but for cheryy standards, these are almost double in price. You can get MX Blacks for around like 30 to 38 cents per switch nowadays. Rest in peace 19-cent MX Blacks back in the day, but yeah, these new Nixies will run you around 60 cents per switch, which is actually quite ridiculous. And no, these Nixies are not twice as good as MX Blacks, they're not twice as smooth, and they're definitely not worth twice as much. Cheryy is really putting that hype tax on these switches, and honestly, it hurts quite a bit. But with that said, do I still like these switches? Yeah, I do. I think it's a great re-addition to the cheryy switch line and offers that signature cheryy sound and feel in a new light. As a really big cheryy enjoyer, I actually don't regret buying them, but honestly would still stick to MX Blacks if you are on a budget and want cherries. All in all though, I think that these new Nixies are pretty cool. They are solid, they sound good, and they feel good. But like I said, they are overpriced for what they are. However, if you can swing the price tag for a couple builds, they will add a bit of variety if you do enjoy cherries. For me personally though, I think I'll try them out in a few builds. They might come back for more builds, but they definitely won't be replacing my day one goats, which are the cheryy MX Blacks and cheryy MX Browns. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe. Also go watch Edo My Elf, the OP and ED are straight bangers. At least go listen to those, they are actually so good.